At 23 years old, I watched my closest friend die, and in that moment, everything I believed about God, success, and the future collapsed. I am 75 now, and what took me a lifetime to understand is something most people never slow down long enough to hear. I'm not here to preach or impress you. I'm here because time is ticking. And if someone had told me this earlier, my life would have unfolded very differently. I've been quietly wrestling with a question that almost everyone asks themselves, usually late at night when the house is quiet. What do I actually believe? Not what I was taught to say, not what makes my family comfortable, but what I truly believe deep down when I'm alone with my thoughts. This isn't just about religion. It's about the foundation you build your life on, and what happens when you realize some of the bricks were set wrong by someone else's hand. I grew up in a home where religion wasn't optional. Sundays were locked in. Rain or shine, sick or tired, we were in those pews. My dad was an elder at church, a pillar of the community. My mom taught Sunday school. I memorized Bible verses like multiplication tables, and back then everything felt solid and clear. The world had right answers and wrong answers, and if you had doubts, you kept them to yourself. Doubt wasn't curiosity. It was a moral weakness, a crack in your armor. I remember being 8 years old and asking my father why our neighbor, Mr. Clark, who never went to church but was always fixing people's cars for free, wasn't going to heaven if he was so good. My dad didn't look at me with curiosity. He looked disappointed. He simply said, "The rules are clear, son. Belief comes first." That shut down a part of me that wanted to question, to connect goodness with goodness, no matter the label. That moment, small as it was the first tiny fracture. But here's something nobody tells you when you're young. Life doesn't care how certain you are. Life shows up with moments that don't fit the answers you were handed. It arrives with a force that cracks those childhood foundations wide open. When I was 23, my best friend Michael was killed in a car accident. One day he was there, laughing, making plans to start a furniture workshop, talking about the future with his hands. He always talked with his hands. And the next day, he was gone. He was a good man, better than me in a lot of ways. He helped people without needing credit. He was generous in ways that didn't get noticed. Standing at his funeral, listening to all the familiar, well-meaning words about God's inscrutable plan and a better place, I didn't feel comfort. I felt a hot, silent anger burning in my chest, not angry at the people, but furious at the answers. The platitude felt like thin paper trying to cover a gaping hole. None of it made sense anymore. I remember thinking, if this is the plan, I don't understand it, and I don't want any part of a planner who operates this way. That anger cracked something open inside me for good. It was the first time I allowed myself to ask real questions. Not the kind where you already know the approved answer, but honest, terrifying questions where you risk not liking what you find, where you risk finding nothing at all. So I started reading. Everything I could get my hands on. I read the Bible again, but this time with a critical eye, circling contradictions, underlining passages about mercy that we never seem to focus on. I read the Quran and was stunned by the poetic beauty of its calls to compassion. I read Buddhist teachings on suffering and attachment and Hindu philosophy on the many paths to the divine. I read books by atheists and humanists who built their ethics on sheer human solidarity. I wasn't shopping for a new brand. I was an archaeologist, digging through the strata of human experience, trying to understand why we, across all time and culture, keep building structures around the same terrifying questions of meaning, suffering, and purpose. What surprised me wasn't finding one truth. It was finding shards of truth everywhere. Not the same truth, but genuine, hard-won pieces of understanding that felt real in the hands that found them. If you're still listening, that tells me something about you. It tells me you're someone who feels this quiet pressure too, even if you've never put words to it. Most people scroll past these thoughts because they're uncomfortable. You didn't. And that means this story isn't just mine anymore. This search wasn't academic. It began to change how I moved through the world. Years later, I was a mid-level manager, and I worked closely with a man named Ahmed, who was Muslim. At first, I'll be honest, I carried a quiet, unexamined tension, assumptions I didn't even know I had. We all do. One night, we were stuck working late on a failing project. The office hollow and quiet, just the hum of the fluorescent lights. Out of exhaustion, the masks came off. We started talking, real talking. He told me about Salah, the discipline of prayer, how it was less about asking and more about submitting, about gratitude. He spoke about zakat, charity not as a duty, but as a purification of your own wealth. As he spoke about humility before the infinite, something hit me right in the center of my chest. He was describing, with different vocabulary and different rituals, the exact same feeling I had in my rare moments of genuine prayer, the quieting of the self, the connection to something vast. The language was foreign, but the music was familiar. That moment permanently changed my gaze. I'm not here to tell you all religions are the same. They're profoundly not. They are different languages, born of different cultures and histories, trying to describe a mystery that's too big for any one set of words. But what matters more, I think, is the common refrain you hear in all of them when the noise of dogma dies down. Love people. Help people. Don't be cruel. Stay humble. Admit you don't see the whole picture. And I saw the opposite too. I've seen the darker side, where the structure becomes a cage. I've seen religion used as a lever for control, a weapon for judgment, a wall to push people away. I saw a kind woman in our congregation shunned because she divorced a cruel man. I've seen the light in my own nephew's eyes dim when he told his parents he was gay and was told he was broken. Every time I witnessed that, it felt like watching something sacred being twisted into something small, mean, and ugly. It made me want to walk away entirely. My own crisis point came when I was 50. It wasn't a lightning bolt, it was a slow, sinking erosion. My marriage to Helen was strained, passing like two ships in a fog-bound night. Money was tight, and the constant worry was a low-grade fever. I was drinking 2, then 3 glasses of whiskey most nights, not for joy, but for silence. I wasn't sleeping, and most nights my regrets and anxieties were louder than the television. One night, sitting alone in my cold garage, surrounded by the ghosts of unfinished projects, I broke. I did something I hadn't done in years. I prayed, but not the way I was taught. I didn't kneel. I didn't recite. I just talked into the stillness, my voice rough. I said, I don't know what I believe anymore. I don't know if anyone is listening. I'm tired. I'm scared, and I can't do this alone. Nothing dramatic happened. No voice, no vision, just the ache of my own honesty hanging in the air. But the next morning, my neighbor, Sam, a retired mechanic I'd only ever waved to, knocked on my door. He held 2 to-go cups. "Saw your light on late," he said. "Figured you could use some awful gas station coffee." We sat on my porch steps for hours. He didn't preach. He just talked. He told me about his own decade-long battle with the bottle, his bottom, and how asking for help was the hardest, best thing he ever did. He shared phone numbers, names of support groups. Was that God orchestrating a miracle? Was it random cosmic coincidence? Was it simply one human being who had been through the fire, recognizing the smell of smoke on another? I still don't know, and over time I've learned that maybe classifying it, needing to pin it down with a label, actually misses the point. The point was the connection, the lifeline thrown when I was drowning. The older I get, the less certain I am about the cosmic details, the topography of heaven, the bureaucracy of salvation, the perfect formula for prayer. But I'm more certain than ever about this. Life is infinitely bigger and more mysterious than our best explanations for it. And the only proper response to that vastness isn't rigid certainty. It's profound humility. I see a lot of young people today walking away from organized religion, and honestly, I understand why. They've seen the hypocrisy. They've felt the judgment. They're allergic to the performative certainty they see online. If that was my only exposure to a search for meaning, I'd walk away too. But I want to say this, as someone with more past than future, don't walk away from the search itself. Don't let the failure of some institutions rob you of the journey. Question everything they gave you. Push back. Walk your own path through the woods. But for your own sake, don't stop asking the big, beautiful, terrifying questions. Wanting your life to mean something, to connect to something larger, that's not religious programming. That's the pulse of being human. So what do I do now? I still go to church sometimes. Not out of habit or fear, but for the community. I go for the flawed, beautiful humanity of it, the shared silence, the stumbling hymns, the tangible reminder that we're all in this mystery together. I also meet my friend Ahmed for coffee every month. I read a page of Buddhist wisdom before bed. I've learned more about practical grace from my atheist friend Martha, who runs a homeless shelter, than from some theologians. My spirituality became a mosaic, not a monolith. This all came to a head 3 years ago, when my wife Helen passed away. We were married for 52 years. We had climbed out of that rough patch decades earlier, built a good life, a true partnership. In her final days, in the quiet, sun-drenched room where the world narrowed down to just her and I, she gripped my hand. Her voice was a whisper. "Russell," she asked, "do you think we'll see each other again?" I didn't reach for a preacher's answer. I didn't give her the scripture we were both taught. I looked into her eyes, the same eyes I'd looked into for over half a century, and I gave her my truth. "I don't know, my love," I said, "but I hope so. With everything I am, I hope so." And in that raw, vulnerable space, I realized something. Hope, honest and unguarded, felt heavier, more real, and more sacred than any certainty I'd ever claimed to have. After 75 years, this is the ground I've found to stand on. What matters isn't the specific name you give to the divine, or whether you even use the word. What matters is how your beliefs shape your hands, how they make you touch the world. If they make your hands kinder, more patient, quicker to help and slower to strike, then they're doing what they're supposed to do. If they make your fists clench with anger, your finger point in judgment, or your heart close in fear, then something has gone deeply wrong, no matter how orthodox your theology. I don't have all the answers. I finally realized I don't want them all. A life with all the answers is a small, closed room. I want to live in the wide, open air of mystery with curiosity as my compass. Your doubts don't make you weak. They make you honest. Your questions don't make you broken. They make you a seeker. Wanting to understand your place in this vast, stunning, painful, beautiful world is one of the most human things about you. So stay curious, stay humble, love people actively, practically, help people tangibly when you can. Be kind when you don't have to be, especially then. And never, ever stop asking the big questions. Because in the end, time is ticking for all of us. And how you live your one precious life, the kindness you weave into the fabric of the world, matters infinitely more than any dogma you claim to believe.